All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's regular council meeting for Monday, September 27th, 2021 at 1 p.m. I'm here live in chambers, and due to the COVID spike, we are all back at home and on Zoom, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. So let's get right into the agenda and ask if there are any added items. Mr. Merritt. You're on mute, sir.
My apologies. I have an added item after number 9, correspondence and information, and that is intergovernmental relations, and it's under section 21 of intergovernmental relations.
421.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So we'll put that in on after 9. Anybody else? Councillor Blatt.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was wondering if we would have a brief discussion, though, in public about the latest restrictions on COVID and the effects that it's had on the community and the community as a whole.
Yes, we can do that after the closed session.
Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think it's something that we really do need to discuss. Absolutely.
Anybody else with an added item? So I've got, sorry folks, I'm just scanning my thing here to find all my councillors. All right, so may I have a motion to adopt today's agenda as amended? Councillor Thompson.
Your Worship, I would move that we accept the regular council meeting agenda for Monday, September 27th, 2021 as amended.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And opposed. Motion is carried. All right, let's move along. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. So I'd entertain a motion for the first set. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that we accept the minutes from the August 23rd, 2021 regular council meeting to be adopted as presented.
September 13th or September 23rd?
August 23rd, sorry, pardon, my apologies. August 23rd.
No, September. You said August, it's
well,
September.
That's what it says. The adoption of the minutes is for August 23rd.
Yes, but it's September 23rd.
It's wrong.
Oh, yeah, on the RFD, they're wrong.
Oh.
September 23rd and September 21st or 26th.
Oh, September 13th. My apologies. I was reading the RFD. I should have caught that again. Okay, I move that the minutes from the September 13th regular council meeting be adopted as presented.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry about, I didn't realize it was on that. I'm looking at the agenda. The agenda has the September. So
yeah, I did look at the agenda, but I also looked at the
RFD. Yeah. All right. So any questions, comments, concerns on that set of agenda? Errors or omissions? No, I can't speak today either. All right. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And opposed. And the motion is carried. All right. Let's move along to the September 23rd. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. After all of that last one, hopefully I'll get this one right. I move the council adopt the minutes from the special closed council meeting of September 23rd, 2021.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns, errors, omissions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That motion is carried as well. All right, let's keep moving right along. We have one presentation and delegation. CAO, would you care to announce?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I believe Catherine Doyle's here to introduce our delegation of Janice and Tyler Bushfield today. So Catherine, I see you're on the agenda or on the list here. So.
Oh, just one correction there. Sorry. Heather is going to be introducing them.
Ms. Dixon. Are you on mute, ma'am?
Just getting
Sorry, just getting messages from the powers that be there. All right. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. I have Janice and Tyler Bushfield here today to speak with us in regards to the proclamation request for Cerebral Palsy Day. And there they are. I can see their smiling faces down in the corner. And I should just point out that Janice is actually the National Director for the Cerebral Palsy Canada Network. So please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the invite. Can you hear us okay?
We sure can.
Okay, well, I think this is maybe my 7th or 8th year attending. I think we missed a couple of years due to COVID, so I'm so thrilled to be able to present to you today. I think there's actually a lot of new faces, so I might start off with just letting you know a little bit about cerebral palsy, and Tyler can fill you in on a little bit more. And then we'll tell you briefly about some of the exciting things that we've done over the past year. So for those of you who are not aware, cerebral palsy is one of the most common disabilities. It affects about 1 in 500 individuals. So there's about 17 million people worldwide with cerebral palsy and about 85,000 Canadians. And it is caused by a lack of oxygen to the brain, either during birth or shortly after delivery. In Tyler's case, he was born at 27 weeks, so he has a number of symptoms of cerebral palsy. So Tyler, do you want to say how it affects you?
Yeah. So I use a wheelchair pretty much all of the time. I find that I have fairly tight muscles and some issues with like coordination and how I grip things and stuff like that. So there's some like adaptive equipment I use in that case, but for the most part, it's mostly just those few physical symptoms in my case anyway.
Thanks. And so some of the changes that we've seen over the past couple of years, my role has actually been funded through the Government of Canada. And so they've given us a 3-year project to look at cerebral palsy across Canada and look at how we can include people with cerebral palsy and related disabilities. And so we had a national survey that we produced last year, and we had about 181 respondents from across Canada and representing all provinces. And what we're seeing is pretty clear. Families with cerebral palsy have a very stressful quality of life, and that can be related to the amount of disability that their child or individual has with cerebral palsy. And accessibility is a concern. And we're certainly seeing that although people think things are accessible, they aren't really. And the third thing that came out of our survey was research. Families really want to see research so that it either mitigates the symptoms of cerebral palsy or that we are able to prevent it in the future. So this is what the survey looks like. I'm not going to go through it, but if anybody wants a copy, I can send it to Marcy and she can distribute it to you. And so on World Cerebral Palsy Day, which is October 6th, we're just going to be recognizing the rights and abilities of all people with cerebral palsy. And I'm thrilled that Olds is going to be able to do that proclamation for us. You can support us by wearing green or just following worldcerebralpalsyday.org.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Janice. That's a great presentation. And yes, we've missed you over the COVID years, but it's great to have you back. And thank you very much for your presentation. May I start with a motion, please, to accept and proclaim, and then we'll have some questions and answers for Bushfield, sorry. Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I move that Council accepts the information, the presentation for information, and that that October 6, 2021 be recognized as World Cerebral Palsy Day in the town of Olds.
Excellent. Do we have any questions or comments or anything of the sort? Janice, where do you guys live? What?
We're in Rocky View County, so just a little bit south of you, and sort of around the Airdrie. We farm in the Airdrie area.
So how do you find Airdrie and where you go for accessibility within town?
You know,
we've had a lot of talk here in town with regards to age friendly, and accessibility. And we actually did a while back a challenge where counselors actually got into wheelchairs and tried to navigate themselves through town. And I'll tell you what, I think that was a very eye-opening experience.
Absolutely. And, Olds is not the only place that looks at that. I mean, you go to Calgary, and we've had a similar challenge with Calgary Council as well. And you would think a big city like, Calgary would be totally accessible, and it absolutely is not. And so that really is a challenge, whether it's a physical accessibility or just in provision of services. There's not always accessible services provided either to include people with disabilities.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. Any other questions or comments? I think this one's pretty easy to do. We're very, very much behind your organization, and congratulations on, is this a new position that you just took with?
Yeah, I mean, we still have Cerebral Palsy Alberta, but there is no Cerebral Palsy Canada. So, I had the pleasure of being asked to create that and work with the other provinces. Alberta has one of the largest CP organizations in Canada. And so my goal has really been to enhance the ability of CP organizations across Canada to be a little bit more able to provide services to their community. So right now my focus is on Atlantic Canada, and we're getting some really strong support in that region as well. So it's really exciting to see, different organizations grow and be able to actually provide services in their community.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on your new appointment, and it's fantastic to have such great leaders like you in our province and in our area. So we appreciate all the great work you do, and thank you, Tyler, for taking time out of your day as well to be here and present to council. All right, unless there's any other questions, Councillor Blatz. Oh no, you're voting? Okay.
No, I was waving goodbye.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have a motion on the table, and I'll call for the votes. All in favor and opposed. And that motion passes with much appreciation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you.
All right, let's move right along. We have next number 4, business arising out of minutes or unfinished business. Anything in those two categories that we need to speak about? Seeing no flurry of hands, we'll move right along to bylaws. Item 5A, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. And 5A is asking for approval to repeal bylaw 2019-25, Family and Community Services Support Services Advisory Board. And I'll ask Michelle LaRocque to speak to this item.
Thank you. So as you're aware, the province has been working on reducing red tape. We've identified the FCSS board as a potential opportunity to reduce red tape in the granting process. So the process currently has all applications being accepted regionally. And as a region, we all come together to review all applications for duplication and eligibility. So we then summarize the eligible applications and bring them to the board, who then reviews them for recommendation to council, who then of course approves them. During the budget deliberations, I believe last year, council asked that the funded groups present to council, which resulted in duplicate presentations because they currently present to the board on a regular basis as well. We currently just had 2 public members resign, leaving 4, 3 of which have terms ending next year. And that's where we're at. And we thought this would be a good time with the organizational meeting coming up next couple weeks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. May I start with a motion, please? Councillor Blatz.
Make sure I've got the right one here. I move that council repeal the Town of Olds bylaw 2019-25 and all amendments thereto, a bylaw that established a Town of Olds Family and Community Support Services Advisory Board.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, comments, questions, concerns? We're Overwater, then Harper, then Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, on page, on the new page 14, where it talks about the background, I'm a little confused because I thought the FCSS advisory board was, it says was reestablished in 2017 after being dormant for a number of years. This is my second full term, so 8 years I've been here, and was my understanding the previous mayor sat on that FCSS board prior to the election in 2017. I don't think it was dormant. I believe that it was there. I'm just wondering about that background history.
My understanding from information that was passed on to me upon my arrival here was that it did sit dormant for a number of years and then was brought back into fruition at some point. It could have been 16. The minutes that I could find were 17 was the earliest.
Yeah, I don't believe that's right, but we're repealing this anyway, so anyways.
All right, Councillor Harper, then Ryan.
Thank you very much, Your
Mr.
Worship.
Wagstaff, did you want in there before we moved along?
No, just to speak to that question, I can add some clarity to the word dormant.
Okay.
It had been struck, but it wasn't meeting on the regular basis that it was to be doing, per its previous bylaw. So it was there, but it still leads to the duplication of the process that was existing. So they didn't meet as regularly as since 2017 when we brought forward a revised bylaw, because it was acting as a advisory board.
Okay, good. Councillor Harper.
So I'm a little bit perplexed about this request. Number one, you talk about the fact that I am presuming it's staff that meets on a regional basis to talk about the various applications. Now, that's my understanding. It would be applications where it has a regional focus, not a local focus. Or do you actually, as a region, look at applications strictly from a local focus as well? I'm not really in favor of repealing a bylaw without discussions with the volunteer committee to begin with. I think that this advisory board has value. I know that council did indicate it would be nice to hear from the groups, not necessarily hear their full presentations, but it's no different than the library board or the museum. It's nice to hear from them because we fund them. And it would be able to get a better understanding of some of the community groups that work within our community. So I would like to have actually seen what the motion read back in January 2021, as well as the explanation about the regional focus, because we have a lot of groups that are just local. And I am a little bit concerned that we are taking the ability for a public citizen board to be without consultation to that public, those public people, just eliminating it. And that's not right.
Okay.
Good point.
All right, Ben Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I agree with what Councillor Harper just mentioned. My concern, I am not in favor of repealing this. I think that the board has a merit. It's a public board with one councillor who has sat on it. I think it acts almost like any other advisory board, like the art advisory board. They take a look at submissions. They spend the time to review them, then they pass along recommendations, and then council makes that decision. And I think that that's the way it should be. I don't think council should be sitting for hours going through each presentation. I don't know how many requests that the FCSS gets. I'm sure that Councillor Blatz would be able to fill us in and I would like to hear from Councillor Blatz on her opinion on this. But I think that there is time that council shouldn't be sitting on and listening to all of this, and rather than, I think we should be getting the recommendations and then deciding. I do want to hear from those groups because, again, as Councillor Harper said, we do fund them. It's nice to be able to find out what they're doing in our community. So if anybody asks us, we know the answers, and that's important to me.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Blatz, did you want to say anything on that point before?
Well, just for clarification to what Councillor Ryan just said, first of all, even as our board, we don't listen to all of the applications that come through. We only listen to what the regional board recommends to us, and then we listen to those presentations, and then they come to council, and those are the same presentations council would hear. We wouldn't have to listen to all 118 applications that come through, because FCSS does know. Either Michelle or perhaps Heather could correct me, but I believe last year there was a significant volume of applications came forward for funding, and not all fit the criteria under the FCSS directive. So, you know, really, my thought process was quite similar to what Director LaRocque presented, is the fact that we had, as council last year, had asked for a presentation from these boards, not maybe a full presentation, but they also don't give a full presentation at the FCSS level. It's very similar to what they give to what most boards present to council, is what they've presented to our board. So, you know, I mean, it's really the will of council if they wish to continue with this board, but it is sort of a redundancy to have them present at the FCSS level and then have to turn around and come back to a council meeting. So, and Heather's right, or Councillor Ryan is right. I mean, we should, as a council, know what's going on and why we funded them and what their background is. I truly agree with that. So I'm just thinking, for the people who've applied sake, it would be, I think, a much simpler process if they were only reporting to one entity. And that's what because we have the final approval on those recommendations. So that's why when it was discussed with me, I said to bring it forward.
Thank you very much. Councillor Thompson.
Sorry, Mitch.
That's okay. Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to the other councillors for their comments. I think I'm a little perplexed by this one as well. I think the benefit that the citizens provide is, you know, that reach into the community. And while we as members of council would also have that, it's nice to know that there's some other perspectives around the table. My greater concern around this whole area is I'm not sure we really have a social development plan or a plan beyond this to, you know, that speaks to supporting the social network within our community. And there are many organizations in the community. So if we're going to receive recommendations from the region and then that goes to council, I'd like it to come a little bit the other way, where council is doing some research and are gaining some understanding, and then setting some priorities that would benefit. So I'm open to exploring it. It's unfortunate that we might lose some valued perspective.
Okay. Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So as Councillor Bennett, she's not here today, she says that I'm old as dirt. And actually, I was a volunteer many moons ago on the FCSS board. And as part of that volunteer efforts, we recognized way back when that there were some organizations that were going to each FCSS department because they had a regional focus. So as a result of the work of that volunteer board way back when, there was a regional situation where those groups and organizations that served a number of the communities had to present regionally. But I, on the other hand, also say that there's a lot of local initiatives that shouldn't be going to a regional board. And this is good, what's going to be lost. Sorry, Mr. Wagstaff, I'm still talking. And I think that's going to be very sad if we lose that, and lose that volunteerism from our public members. And so I'd like to know, of the 100 and whatever applications, how many of those applications were for Olds programs only, and how many of them had a regional focus, and how many of them actually met the criteria as funding by FCSS.
All right, well, I had Ms. Dixon and then Mr. Wagstaff.
Sorry, I just had to unmute. I just thought I could clarify a few things. One of our things is our process. So we meet with the regional FCSS directors and managers to look over the applications and make sure that there are no duplications, as Councillor Harper was just saying. At that point, when we make sure that there are no duplications, then we take the FCSS applications and summarize them for the board. We make sure that they meet all of the recommendations and mandates that FCSS funding requires. And at that point, any of the ones that do not meet those mandates, we put aside and then bring the ones forward to the board to look through, read the summaries, and then make a recommendation to you, the council. As far as numbers go, there were 46 applications that came into FCSS. The applications are collected by Mountain View County, and then she disseminates them out to those who are the correct receivers. So she will get our applications and then sends them on to us. We had a total for the Olds area last year of 13 applications. 12 of those were moved on for recommendation. We had one that did not fit the mandate. And of those 12 that were received and approved, 2 of them were regional applications, meaning that they had applied to more than one of us to run programs in each individual community. So I'm just hoping that that helps clarify that a little bit for you and gives a little more information.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. Wagstaff.
Yes, and I was going to add just a little bit of clarity as well for the regional part of it. They're not screening them for validity, they're screening them, vetting them for duplication, and to make the process easier for the groups in the region. They have one spot they have to apply. So if there is a joint application, they don't have to apply to Mountain View and Olds and Didsbury and Sundre. They only have to apply once. So that's the intent behind the regional portal, that all of County of Mountain View groups apply to one spot. They don't have to worry about sorting out that. And understanding, do they apply to Sundre, do they apply to Olds, where do they apply? They just apply to that one spot. So that was part of the streamlining of it, and also, you know, looking from a regional perspective to make sure there wasn't the duplication of applications, so the groups are getting funded where they would only need to be once. And some of those splits in funding are decided before they roll out, so that the groups can meet, so that the regional administration can meet to ensure that it gets out where it should, the funding. Then the local review happens. The other part to that was this also stems from the requests that had come from council over a period of time, not just recently, where council was requesting the same type of deliberation that had occurred at the board and at the admin level, wanting to know why, you know, some were selected and not the others. And that's what drew the attention to the councillor that sits on the board, as well as administration, that there was a duplication occurring there, that the council was frequently asking for some of the same information and questions that were being asked at the board level. So that was being repeated again and getting into some of those deliberations. So this was intended to streamline that.
Okay, thank you very much. I have Councillor Ryan, then Harper.
Well, thank you for the clarification, Ms. Dixon and Director Wagstaff. However, regardless of whether or not we're asking questions at the council level, I think that's our prerogative as councillors to ask questions because we want to know more information about the groups. I think that is legitimate. I mean, especially if we get questions out in the public, where is that money going to? Who is this group that's received that cash? So I think that is a legitimate questions that we're asking. I don't see it as duplication. I really do appreciate the fact that we have a committee that has public input and different perspectives that they bring to the table. And I think that, it's great for them to go through this process and then to provide council with the recommendations. And even if we are just rubber stamping those recommendations, I think council should be able to ask those questions and hear from those groups again for clarity and for to get that information.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Notwithstanding, I'll just, if that's all right, Councillor Harper, I'll put my 2 cents in. I've been a little silent on the subject so far, but yeah, no, notwithstanding all the great questions that council asks and gets answers for, that public component is the big thing for me. I think in this one is we need that input. We want to be open and transparent with everybody, and the key value that those members are always inputting at those meetings. I've sat in a few of them myself, so I understand how engaged those people are with our community and take great pride in the recommendations that they do eventually bring to council. So yeah, I'm a little hesitant to vote for this one as well. So Councillor Harper, then Overwater.
I'll pass on to Councillor Overwater.
All right, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Councillor Harper. Yeah, I tend to agree with the mayor that at the end of the day, I think it's important that the public, has input. They've always had some very good input regarding the FCSS programs and what programs need some help getting off the ground and actually doing the program. So, in my opinion, I think we should either table this or we should either just vote down this repeal and just keep it the way it is and make sure that we still have public members on this board. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments or questions before we vote on this repeal? Seeing none, I'll just do that. I'll call for the votes. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion is defeated. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Let's move right along. Number 6, new business, item 6A, Yale.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I believe Michelle Jorgensen's here to give us a presentation in regards to Orange Shirt Day on September 30th, 2021. Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt, and good afternoon, Your Worship, Council, and to all of the participants on the call today. I'd like to start by recognizing nearly 150 years ago in this region, the Government of Canada entered into treaty with Indigenous nations who've been in relationship with this land since time immemorial. The treaty was meant as the basis for respectful relationships, nation to nation, to live and work in cooperation on this land. To that end, I'd like to acknowledge that here in the town of Olds, and where I'm sitting north of town today out in the country, we're on the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region of Alberta. This includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Piikani, the Siksika and the Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the people of the Stoney Nakoda, the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The Métis also have a very deep relationship with this land, and I wish to acknowledge the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We are all treaty people. Now, I'm honored to be here today to speak to the matter of Orange Shirt Day in Olds. And I'd like to thank Bob Joseph of Indigenous Corporate Training, Inc. for his words to help share about the history of Orange Shirt Day. Orange Shirt Day is a movement that officially began in 2013, but in reality it began back in 1973 when 6-year-old Phyllis Webstad entered the St. Joseph Mission Residential School outside of Williams Lake, BC. Young Phyllis was wearing a brand new orange shirt for her first day of school, new clothes being a rare and wonderful thing for a First Nation girl growing up in her grandmother's care. But the Mission Oblates quickly stripped her of her new shirt and replaced it with the school's institutional uniform. While she only attended for 1 year, the impact affected Mrs. Webstad's life for many years. In her words, "I finally get it. That feeling of worthlessness and insignificance ingrained in me from my first day at the mission affected the way I lived my life for many years. Even now, when I know nothing could be further from the truth, it still sometimes feels like I don't matter." Miss Webstad's story is the nucleus for what has become a national movement to recognize the experience of survivors of Indian residential schools, honor them, and show a collective commitment to ensure that every child matters. The initiative calls for every Canadian to wear an orange shirt on September 30th in the spirit of healing and reconciliation. To that, we recommend that Council proclaim once again that Thursday, September 30th, 2021 is Orange Shirt Day in the town of Olds. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Jorgensen. It's a great presentation as always. Councillor Overwater, let's start with a motion and then we can ask some questions.
Yep. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I move the council proclaim Thursday, September 30th, 2021 as Orange Shirt Day in the town of Olds.
Excellent. A comment or question? No. Councillor Ryan, you had your hand up. Were you just going to make a motion or any questions?
Well, I was going to make a motion, but I did want to show off my orange shirt.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Thank you. Very, very good. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through yourself to Ms. Jorgensen. I understand, Mrs. Jorgensen, that some of our schools are planning events and activities to acknowledge truth and reconciliation, to be mindful of this time and reflect on it. I'm wondering if you're aware of any other activities that are happening for the general public within the area.
Thank you for that question. Yes, the schools, of course, are planning a lot for this week, and that's fantastic. I understand that the Holy Trinity School will actually be in classes on the 30th, and they have a full day scheduled of fantastic activities to recognize the day. Within the community, the Olds Municipal Library, in partnership with other libraries across their library region, they'd had different activities planned throughout this week as well. And unfortunately, with the recent COVID protocols in place, it is just not possible to hold those in-person events at this time. I understand that they're looking to postpone those to June of 2022. The museum, however, Mountain View Museum and Archives, is going to be open in the afternoon from noon to 4 with a special Indigenous display being held. And I understand that bannock will be served in individual portions to patrons. There will be a children's craft, and there may also be a video component of the day. I would direct people also to the Olds College Indigenous Services website. They have activities scheduled throughout the week as well, and a special kind of self-guided tour at the wetlands. You can visit the teepee there, and there are little orange shirt cards that people can leave messages on that will be distributed out to community at some point in the future. So that's something that you could go and do in the community. And on Friday, I understand that they're planning a teepee talk to be hosted at the teepee in the wetlands that community is invited to participate in as well. So please go to the Olds College website, as I said, Indigenous Services page for more information on what's going on there.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any other questions, Mr. Merritt?
Yes, thank you very much, Michelle, for that presentation. And there is a poster outlining a number of activities that are taking place over the course of the week, some being virtual, some being live. Also, just want to recognize the general holiday and the day of reflection for the 30th that this council basically had passed a few weeks ago. It's a very important day for all of us, and I'll be sending a note out to our staff to basically ideas of having moments of reflection during the day as well.
Excellent. Thank you, CAO. All right, we have a motion on the table unless there's anything else. I'll call the vote. All in favor and opposed. That motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jorgensen. Great presentation as usual.
Thank you.
Great. Let's move along to item 6B, appointment of the auditor. Shall we go straight to the Director of Finance, Mr. Merritt? All right, Ms. Linderman.
Thank you. So this is the annual appointment of our auditor. As per the MGA, we need to do this annually. This would be for the 2021 fiscal year. And we are asking that we appoint Avail. This would be Avail's 4th year with us. And it would be the first of 2 one-year extensions within their contract.
Excellent. May I start with a motion, please? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move that council appoint Avail LLP as the auditor for the town of Olds for the 2021 fiscal year. And I do have a question.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You mentioned that this is an extension period on a contract that we have existing. How often do we go to the public and seek other people that wish to provide the service?
So we normally do a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extensions. So in essence, a 5-year if things are going well. And then we would go to RFP again.
Thank you.
So there we go. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on the table, so I'll call the vote. All in favor and opposed. That motion is carried. All right. Let's keep moving along. We have item 6C, 2022 flower budget. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. This, as you know, is one of the only items of our 2022 operating budget that we bring forth before that budget is discussed and approved. And the reason for that is that we do need to order our flowers at this time of the year to ensure that, delivery, and that will be put in the proper lineup to get those flowers. So as we have done in the past couple of years, I believe, has brought this budget to you for basically discussion and approval. And with that, I'll ask Director Wagstaff to speak to this year's budgetary proposal.
So this year, as we've proposed, first of all, we have seen a slight increase in some of the pricing around that 3%. So to get exactly the types of flowers that we looked at as far as quantity goes in similar types of flower, it'd be a little bit more than the 25,000. This year, though, we have recommended, with the feedback that we heard throughout the summer, we have come forward with a recommendation to add some more baskets, 30 baskets to the uptown area. In increasing that would go from the 25,750 to 31,000. There is a bit of a rounding occurring there. The transportation part is always a little bit of an unknown around how much we're going to get in charges for getting the flowers and baskets all here. So they do go out to an RFP. We then have those quotes come back. Request for quote, not a request for proposals. We do have those quotes come back, and then we would initiate with greenhouses within the South Central area and make the flower order. So before you is for your deliberation on a $31,000 recommendation, and then council can receive this, make changes as they feel appropriate for the budget, and then we would be able to move forward with a flower order. Again, as to reiterate, we bring this forward ahead of budget discussions because if we wait for the budget deliberations to be done, we will miss the opportunity to be able to make the orders in time for the flowers to be planted already in bloom and then arrive here ready to be placed out.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Director Wagstaff. Councillor Overwater, you had your hand up. Would you like to make the motion to begin with, and then we'll have some discussion?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Yes, I move that council authorizes administration to purchase material for the 2022 Community Beautification Program for flowers, hanging baskets, and planters in the amount of $31,000 and commit this funding in the 2022 operating budget.
All right. A question, comment?
I might have one a bit later.
Okay. Councillor Harper, Ben Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Overwater and myself have indicated on more than one occasion about annual plants, and I've actually mentioned spring bulbs like daffodils, tulips. I would like to include in that the purchase of bulbs that could be planted this fall in that location by Highway 27 and 50th, that we purchase 100 daffodil bulbs that at least brightens up that area of town first thing in the spring. Anyways, just my thought.
All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Thompson. Ben Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through yourself to Director Wagstaff. Director Wagstaff, you mentioned that this is an increase of 30 baskets to this order, and it makes a difference of about $4,000 plus delivery, it looks like. Now that's the total number here is 60. Did we have 60 baskets in 2020 and 30 in 2021, just for my comparison then?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
We cut the basket order in half last year.
Okay. And the baskets roughly have a value of about $133 a piece, just based on this rough number.
If you've brought out the calculator, I'm just going to concur and say yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Councillor Ryan.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I know that we cut the budget last year and there was a reason for it. I thought that the flowers looked great downtown. I mean, it took a little while for them to get off the ground, but so to speak. Since they are off the ground, I thought they looked great. I'm not sure the need for doubling this back up again, and also I would like to know if we have chatted with the Uptown Olds Committee, because I'm sure that they might be interested in doing a little bit of a partnership here where they provide some funding to get any extra baskets they feel is necessary. I don't know. We haven't asked unless we have, but I'd like to hear from Director Wagstaff to find out whether or not we've even approached them or the chamber to find out if they'd be interested in helping out.
I know the feedback came, that was one of the parts of the feedback, but I don't believe that we've approached them in any financial terms, making any partnership, so to speak, as far as splitting the cost.
Okay. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, I guess, to a comment / question, I guess, for Director Wagstaff, but I never heard any complaints at all this year. In fact, if anything, I only had compliments about our baskets all throughout town. And I mean, they were slow at coming, and they did rebound spectacularly. I mean, even today when I was out walking, they still look fabulous, and we're at the end of September. And that's really unusual for plants to live that long. So Jillian and her crew did a fabulous job this year. They really did. And I'm not sure if we need to up 30 baskets. Again, I did drive through the downtown core today and look at the baskets, and I thought they looked quite nice. And it didn't appear that we were lacking any, but obviously you've had different feedback from people. But going a little further to Councillor Ryan's comment, I was approached by the Uptown Oils president the other day, wondering if they did in fact plant or put some additional baskets around town, if we would water them. So I really do think that perhaps maybe we could have some kind of a conversation with those uptown groups. And in particular, this is where we're targeting these baskets to go. If we're not putting them out throughout town, maybe it is something that we should be looking into further.
Thank you, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, at the beginning of the year, I thought the planters, and I think quite a few of us around the table, we thought, oh my God, these planters need some definite help. And whatever happened with them, with the fertilizing that Jillian and her team did, these planters first came, they came and they're just beautiful. My husband actually stopped and asked them what kind of fertilizer they got, because they did come back and they absolutely did look beautiful. So if we don't, I'm just thinking, if the majority sitting around the table felt that we did have sufficient baskets downtown, maybe because we did kind of cut back on the tree replacement program, maybe we could put that money towards the tree replacement, because we really cut that budget. And, I think we have to make sure that we look after our canopy. And I think, there's some areas within the community that we could plant some more trees, because some are getting pretty big and possibly going to die. So, I just like to hear what everybody else thinks about that suggestion. Thanks.
Councillor Thompson. Sorry, was Harper first?
No.
No. Okay.
Sorry, perhaps Mr. Merritt was going to speak to it, but forgive me. I thought we increased the replacement program funds post budget. Did we not, CAO Merritt or Director Linderman?
Yep. CAO, you're on mute, sir.
My first comment is that is something we would consider in the actual 2022 budget, and certainly could take advice today in regards to it, but we're really only asking for the approval of the flower budget because of the need to order, and then everything else would be addressed. I know we did basically present 5 proposals in regards to the tree budget, and I think we did up it to, maybe Sheena has the exact ratio, because we did look at ratios when we brought that forth.
Yes, in spring budget adjustments, it was doubled. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio now, I believe, at 35,000.
Okay. And Director Wagstaff, what was our budget last year for the flowers? Did you say 27.5?
25,000.
25,000. Okay. Yeah, and I tend to agree with the rest of council. I thought that they, when they first got here, they looked a little sparse, but they sure did take hold. And I don't know what Jillian and the crew did, but they did fantastic work. They ended up absolutely beautiful. We've got nothing but great comments. So my inkling would be to leave that at the 25, maybe perhaps throw a bit of money into extra for bulbs and so forth, because Councillor Harper had a great idea. With the spring flowers coming up in certain areas of the town, that would be beautiful. And then we would have maybe a little bit more money for the tree replacement program when we get to the real budget. Let's go to CAO first, then Councillor Harper.
Just to reflect what Director Wagstaff said, if we were to just have the exact same, it's going to cost $25,750 this year due to inflation. So just wanted to make sure that number is known. That does not take into consideration Councillor Harper's comment earlier.
Councillor Harper.
So what I would recommend is that we are going to have to increase the budget to reflect increased cost, but keep the numbers the same, with a direction to administration to invite Uptown Olds, whether they would want to be part of the flower order at the Uptown Olds costs. If they wanted to add more flowers to the curbsides or whatever they would like.
With the understanding that we would help water and maintain.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with that. Director Wagstaff, then we'll go to Councillor O'Rourke.
May I suggest, Your Worship, that if we pass the resolution as is with whatever dollar amount the council would like to have for 2022, that then council consider a second motion that would direct administration to explore that, so that we don't get the two tied up together and we have two clear separate motions.
Okay, Councillor Overwater.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doug, Director Wagstaff, that we need two separate motions. At the end of the day, though, if the Uptown Olds are going to be helping with planter or flower baskets, whatever downtown, I believe our baskets, they have a watering holding tank. I would think they would have to be almost under the same specifications as to what our hanging planter basket containers are, so that we're not having, separate watering systems or whatever. But I can certainly amend my, I think I made that motion. I could amend it.
Yep, you did. Yeah, if you'd like to, what would you like to amend it to?
Well, Councillor Harper, did you want to say something? You had your hand up.
No, I was going to just suggest
Let's
you
go to
amend it.
Councillor Ryan before we go to the amendment.
Okay.
Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And I just wanted to point out that in that budget, there is already annuals. So I don't know how many that is and whether Councillor Harper was looking to increase that amount or not, but I'm happy with going the 3% increase just to cover the additional costs of the inflationary costs for this year, and then then we can chat about the second motion that we need.
Now, Director Wagstaff, if we went to the 25,750 or with inflation, that would just cut the hanging baskets, not the annual budget there for 2,300. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
20, because we did order some annuals last year, and I don't know if Jillian was able to join us. She was going to try and join us. So Jillian, if you are here, just say hello.
Hello.
Because I'm not going to be able to pronounce these correctly. She has provided a list of the types of annuals that she had purchased previously and intended on placing this year on the sign bed on the south side of Highway 27, for shrub and perennials. So I'm going to probably butcher a couple of these, but I'm sure Jillian can jump in and correct me.
Let's go straight to the
perennials.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
straight
Dale.
to. Do you have that list with you, Jillian, or would you like me to say it and you can correct me? It is the list you sent me.
No, I don't have it with me.
Okay, catmint.
That's right.
Daylily dwarf. Hardy geranium roseanne. Echinacea. Rudd.
Rhododendron. That's right.
Salvias. Garden phlox. And I have no idea how to pronounce the last one. It's Heuchera.
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 Mm-hmm.
That is the intended perennials that will be in placed. The other piece to with perennials is they have a shorter flowering season than annuals. But that was the plan that had looked forward. Go ahead, Jillian.
The plan, Doug, was to put those perennials into the beds that we took the annuals out of last year, like the town signs, the south, the west, and the east. Well, to add to the east, because we're redoing that, and put the trees, shrubs and perennials into all of those beds, not just perennials, but to add them to front the shrubs, etc. That was what we were hoping to add for this year.
Okay.
We got given the go-ahead last year, but we didn't actually have enough money in my budget to cover that.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that you have that money this year. Well, for next year, I guess that is. So, all right, Councillor Overwater, would you like to make the amendment that we proposed? And then I'll seek a second motion to engage with Uptown Olds.
I do have poppy seeds if you want those.
The ones off of your bagel won't work.
No, it's not them. Councillor Harper's got something to say.
Yes.
I still feel that we need some spring planting bulbs.
Yeah.
At least for one of our flower beds, preferably the one at Highway 27 and 50th.
Yeah. Would we be able to do that, Jillian?
Well, we certainly can, but you have to remember, we can get them planted this autumn, obviously, because we have to. But when the ground's thawed out in the springtime, our spring bulbs are always quite late in coming to the fore here, and they're not nearly finished flowering before we actually have to plant our annual display. So there's where your problem lies. We won't get the annual display planted before the well, the spring flowers won't have finished flowering before we need to pull them out to put in the annuals.
Mm-hmm. Do you not just pull them out and then plant them in the fall again?
Well, we can do, but you're supposed to let them finish flowering first.
They don't come back?
Yeah, so we can house them. We can house them somewhere else. We can heal them in somewhere and plant them again in the autumn. But you are disturbing their whole cycle by pulling them out too soon.
Okay.
Oh, I don't.
Well, okay, Your Worship.
Yes.
I can understand what Jillian is saying, and as Councillor Harper, because I do live on the edge of town. I'm on the edge by a field, and my plants, my flowers, my lilies that should come up in the spring, and tulips like everyone else, I'm a good month behind because I'm a little colder over here. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm on the outskirts of town, like right on the edge. So I think if these bulbs are within the inner town, like maybe Centennial or something like that, they would flower earlier too and be done. But it's a bit of a sticky wicket for sure, Jillian. I understand that because, like I said, mine are like a month behind somebody who lives more, let's say, down by the arena or the elementary school. So I don't know what the answer is for that. I think Councillor Blatz had a comment.
Councillor Blatz?
Give it a try.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know in my backyard here, and I'm south facing, I have all perennials, and I have a number of bulbs, tulips and daffodils, and the little purple flowers. I don't know what the name is, Jillian. Crocuses. Crocuses. I have them. They all come up, and very rarely are they ever done before it's time to start planting and digging. So I have to be very, very careful with them, because if you do happen to damage them or pull them out, you know, typically you don't pull tulips, daffodils, or crocuses out of the ground. You leave them in for every year. It's your other bulbs that you do pull out and store for the winter. But yeah, I think Jillian brings up a very valid point, although I think it's a great idea. I would certainly like to see it, or certainly like to see more perennials. But I mean, we don't really want to be taking, bulbs are quite expensive too, to buy them at that mass amount we'd need to buy, I would suspect. Jillian could possibly correct me on that, but although I think it's a good idea, I'm just not sure that it will be the logical choice in our community and our climate. That's just what I wanted to say.
Okay. All right, so is there a proposed amendment to the to the motion, Councillor Overwater?
Well, I can put in a dollar amount. I mean, and we can go from there, I guess. I just want to make sure, Mr. Wagstaff, is the 2,300 included in the 25,750 plus the 3% increase, or is the 2,300 not included?
Where are we getting 2,300?
On the annuals at the bottom. Of
I'm just going to ask about the annuals piece as well, just for
Okay.
clarity with Gillian, because when I backed out half of the 7,660, it comes out to 27,170, not the 25,750. So Gillian, in order to get the annuals, that 2,300, does that need to be 27,000 and not 25,750?
Maybe I'm not a great mathematician either, so my little sum might have been wrong. I apologize for that, but I didn't think there was 2,000, 2 or 3% of 25,000.
So I believe the number would be 27,170 in order to have both the annuals and the only 30 baskets.
Yeah. Okay.
I get 25,965.
Yeah, I do too.
So if we half 7,660, put that in half and then add the rest of the numbers as they sit, we get 25,965 plus GST and delivery.
Okay, well, we're all getting a different number. I get a different number than you, Michael. When 7,660, if you divide that by 60 is 127.66 times 30 is 38.29.
Could you
But
just
anyway.
perhaps, could I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure.
You just perhaps
26,000.
change it to 26,000 plus GST plus delivery.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
you
that,
willing to make that motion?
yeah, I'm
Amendment?
making that motion.
Okay, $26,000 plus delivery plus GST.
Correct.
And Sheena, or sorry,
Yeah, you don't need to worry about the GST, just 26,000 plus delivery.
Okay, very good.
thank you. All right, so we have an amended motion on the table. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that motion carries. And would somebody care to make a motion to engage Uptown Olds to partner with us for a few extra baskets? Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Worship. I move that we direct administration to engage and initiate a conversation with the Uptown Olds folks to see if they would like to partner with us for flowering baskets in the Uptown area in the summer of 2022, sorry.
There we go. All right, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's a great motion. I'm a little conscious that we put the onus on a small group of business when we do that. I recognize that a chairperson might have expressed interest, but I think the motion should actually be that we direct administration to enter into conversations with community groups that might be interested in. Right.
Okay. Friendly amendment, Councillor Blatz.
Yeah, I concur. I think Councillor Thompson's got a good valid point. Yeah, thank you for that.
Director Wagstaff.
So is council anticipating that we would go beyond the Uptown Olds because that would have a service level impact? We're able to add 30 baskets without adding any additional service level or labor because they're, as you know, they're on the there's 2 per. We went down to 1 per wing on the light standards, and we didn't have as many down the side streets. So from a service level perspective, it's very little additional service level if we stayed to the area that we were currently in. If we expand outside of that area to other areas, including other community groups, potentially, it will have a service level impact.
Councillor Thompson, then Ryan, then Overwater.
Yes, through yourself to Mr. Wagstaff. I wouldn't want to limit the conversation, but I would understand that there may be some rationale points for not participating with some groups. So at this point, unless somebody else comes forward, I would suggest that the invitation is always open and council would review it if there were other opportunities that we could help enable.
Okay. Councillor Ryan? Oh, on mute.
Space bar usually works. I was actually going to say exactly what Councillor Thompson said, so it's already been said. Thanks.
Okay, CAO Marriott.
You're on mute, Mr. Merritt.
He's trying, it looks like. Not successful though, Mr. Merritt. There we are.
Okay, I'm good. I have to agree with Director Wagstaff. This, in regards to the footprint, once we change the footprint, it makes a difference. The other second point I'd like to make is we'll have to tackle this issue immediately because, again, we should be ordering the same type of flowers to be going side by side with the others. So we shouldn't be saying, well, just put yours in later because there'll be a ordering problem and there will be possibly a clashing of design, so to speak, too. So just a few comments in regards to the logistics.
Yeah. Councillor Overwater.
You know what? I think this is a bigger service level discussion. And I think we should just not even have that motion on the books right now about talking to other people and whatever, because here we're going to try and make a knee-jerk decision again. And I don't think we should. I think we should wait for the next service level discussion so that we can have, you know, Mr. Wagstaff has time to maybe have a bit of a discussion with some other groups in the community to see if they are interested, and then we have some information. So I don't know who made that motion, but maybe if we have a bigger discussion at another time. I think Mr. Merritt just wants to make sure that we get our flowers that we want ordered, and then we can have a discussion with others, and then nobody's rushed. We can just have a bigger discussion, or whoever's sitting at the table, we can have a bigger discussion later. Mm-hmm. That's just where I'm thinking.
Okay. Councillor Blatz, did you maybe want to pull your motion? Or?
Well, I can gladly withdraw it. I was going to check with the legislative clerk if we can withdraw it, or do we just defeat it?
Legislative clerk.
Mr. Merritt's got his hand up.
I'm okay with the motion as long as you're not expecting us to maybe deliver it for the 2022 budget year, but I think it's great to start that discussion now. So if there is going to be a service level adjustment, we would have already had those discussions, as councillors Blatz and Thompson had said, with the community groups already. So I think the motion's good as long as it's not tied to the budget.
Okay. I'm good with that, Mr. Merritt. Thank you.
Yeah, I concur with what Mr. Merritt just said, because you never know. I mean, if we don't ask, you never know what
exactly
we're going to get, right? So, and in fact, if Uptown Olds has already expressed an interest, they might be happy to join right away, and some of these other groups might join later on or in the future. But I think we do need to ask. You know, I think it's fair comment for what said.
Yep, absolutely. Sure. Okay, so we're not going to withdraw that motion. We're going to not tie it to this year's budget, but get that ball rolling and everybody talking.
What does it say?
That we're going to engage Uptown Olds and other community groups to potentially partner with flowers into the future.
I think what we should just do is not mention one particular group. I think it should be flat community groups to see which groups would. And that's what I would rather say made the motion for.
Okay, perfect.
I agree with you. Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. I'll call for the votes. All in favor? And opposed? That motion carries. Jillian, thank you very much to you and your entire team. You did a phenomenal job this year. Our town looked absolutely stunning, and kudos to the team and the great work that you did to make it look beautiful. All right, let's move along. We have item 6D, the photo contest winner, CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I believe Michelle Jorgensen is probably still with us to present the I Love Olds photo contest winners. So I do see Michelle has reappeared, and so I'll hand it off to Michelle.
Thank you.
Well, hello again. I wonder if Mr. Fox would be so kind as to pull up the RFD that shows in full color the 3 photographs that are in question today, if that's possible. And maybe zoom in a little bit as much as we can there just to focus in on those. Thanks, Sean. Yes, so earlier this year, citizens were invited to submit photos to the online photo gallery in this year's version of the I Love Olds photo contest. The contest ran throughout the summer and ended August 31st. The photos were considered by our Public Art Advisory Committee as well as Council to determine the 3 finalists that you see before you today. And our recommendation that these are the 3 finalists. We're hoping that they might be declared the winners of the 2021 I Love Olds photo contest. We see Centennial here by Cheryl Pearson, Wetlands Beauty by Leonie Megley, and Summer Breeze by Alicia Webb.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jorgensen. All right, let's start with a motion, please. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Council approve the following photographs to be declared the winners of the 2021 I Love Olds photo contest, Centennial, Wetlands Beauty, and Summer Breeze.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Excellent. That motion passes, and congratulations to all the winners. The absolutely stunning photos again, and I think it does very much capture our community. And well, I love Olds, so it's good to see. Thank you very much. All right, let's move along to 6E, Proclamation of Fire Prevention Week. CAO, should I go direct to Director Andrew?
Absolutely. Director Andrew, it's all yours.
There we go.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. It's my pleasure to present to you today a proposal for the proclaiming of Fire Prevention Week from October 3rd to 9th, 2021, where the public education message this year is learn the sounds of fire safety. Our intent, this is a national and international program provided to us by the National Fire Protection Association, and the emphasis is on learning the different sounds in your home, such as what a smoke alarm sounds like, a carbon monoxide detector sounds like, and or when they are malfunctioning. So these are common issues that we see on a regular basis responding to our citizens. And so part of our efforts along with this proclamation will be to educate and hit the doorsteps of our residents to help teach them, educate them, and provide them materials to rectify those problems. That is what we're looking for today. I'm open to any questions.
All right, may I start with a motion, please? Councillor Harper.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I move that the week of October 3rd to October 9th be proclaimed as Fire Prevention Week in the town of Olds.
Excellent. Comments, questions, concerns? It's always a great initiative every year, and we thank you, Director Andrew and Chief Andrew, more importantly, this week. So we appreciate your effort to educate our citizens and residents in Olds on fire safety. Councillor Harper.
Yeah, just a question. Thank you very much, Director Andrew, and all your volunteer firefighters for paid on call. I see that you're going to be doing a virtual fire hall tour on Wednesday, October 6th. How will people be able to sign into that?
Right now, we are working with our newly acquired software that this would essentially be a web access tour. So it's not live, but pre-filmed, and it's self-navigating. So we would be able to allow citizens or any interested party to do a complete walkthrough of the fire station at their leisure.
Thank you.
Excellent idea. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor and opposed. And that motion is carried. All right, so that brings us to the end of new business. On to number 7, reports from council, boards, and committees. May I start with a motion? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the reports from council, authorities, boards, committees, and commissions ending September 23rd, 2021 be received for information.
Excellent.
And
how about you start?
How about I? Okay. Yes, attended PNP special council meetings as well, and regular council meeting. Met with residents to discuss some of the newspaper articles and give them some clarity as to what actually was happening with town of council's course of action. So met with them. Public art advisory, we had good discussion on street art. Olds, as the chair for Olds Policing Advisory Committee, I met with Staff Sergeant Wright, Sergeant Christensen, and our previous employee Jen Lutz, and to discuss about priorities and restorative justice, which our new staff sergeant is very happy that we're talking about restorative justice. He believes in that and feels that that will be a good thing for our community. So I'm happy that we met with him and to discuss the priorities for the town. Met with Olds Toberfest people, met with the mayor from Didsbury, worked at the community showcase, attended the grand opening of the Rotary Park, met with the Waste Commission this morning. Our operating license is up for renewal in November. Due to, I hate to say this word, the COVID, they are not going to be able to renew it right away. So they gave us an extension for November of 2022. And at that point, it will be renewed for 10 years. We are in great shape financially. We have money in reserves for closure, post-closure, our capital expenditures, and operating. We have very little debt. We're hoping our municipalities will be able to rely on about a $24.64 requisition over the next 3 years. It has gone down consistently the last 3 years, so hopefully that will continue. Our Supercell 7 has been completed at 1.6 million, which we did not have to borrow for. And the life expectancy of that supercell should be about 10 to 12 years. So that's awesome for us. The Cape Board, I had a meeting with them, and we'll be taking a tour at Enhanced Energy on a carbon capture plant. That will happen October 13th. Access Prosperity has lost all their funding. The city of Red Deer, the city of and the county of Red Deer, Central Alberta Economic Partnership, we have all discontinued funding that organization. They will have to come up with other ways if they want to continue to exist. Also, the MPC, we approved an oversized sunroom. We declined a fence where the property owner wanted it to be 10 feet tall, and we deferred an accessory building. There seems to be a few permits on that have not, they haven't activated yet or started the process. So we thought we needed more information to see a better site plan as to where all these buildings are going to go. Our 2020 permits last year at this time were 4.9 million. This year at 2021 at this time it's 5.6 million. So that's a good thing. Attended the ICC joint meeting with our counterparts, Mountain View County. And that's what I did. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Overwater. Councillor Harper. You're next on my screen.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I attended a lot of the same meetings as Councillor Overwater, but also the Chamber Board meeting, just to let you know that the Chamber is in pretty good financial health. Right now, they've been developing a landing web page, a new landing web page, and they will be joining, it would be a National Chamber of Commerce website that should be coming soon. Biggest news would be the Chamber is actually going to be hosting an election forum October the 7th. It would be a Zoom meeting or Zoom invite with the radio station. We're just finalizing opportunity for the radio station to broadcast it live as well as to have that opportunity for people with internet and computers to listen in and ask questions. So finalization will be taking place over the next couple of days. 3 different volunteers have been volunteering at the Chamber office to keep it going, and they've been spending a total of about 15 to 20 hours a week there. And like I said, finances are pretty good. I also attended a Water Commission meeting, and once again, finances are good for that. And I had the pleasure of attending on behalf of the mayor, the high school awards night a week ago Friday. And I can say that tomorrow's best today is really true with Olds High School. We have an amazing number of young students that are soon to be leaders. And it was really heartwarming to go to the awards night that night and to hear their stories. So that was great. And of course, we had an ICC meeting, and there will be a press release coming out in reference to the accomplishments of the ICC committee.
Councillor Harper, I have a quick question. The forum that the Chamber is helping out with, in my schedule, it says October 6th. I believe you said October 7th.
Well, that was originally what I was told, but I'll know more today.
You'll know more today. Okay, we'll get it onto social media so that
we will be getting it onto social media as soon as possible.
Excellent. So we'll hammer that date down. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much. Councillor Thompson, you're next on my screen.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. In this last month, I did have the opportunity to attend the Municipal Planning Commission meeting as well. I think Councillor Overwater gave a pretty good description of things. There was a discussion towards the end of the meeting around what we saw as fewer numbers of duplexes being built in the community. And so the commission did have a discussion about why that might be. Of course, Olds is open for business, and commission members were seeking input from developers that might have some perspective, as of course we do want to encourage more development within the community. The grand opening at Rotary Park went really well. I didn't realize how well council could cook hot dogs, but with staff support, we are a mean team. The community showcase was lighter in numbers this year, but there were a lot of great organizations there sharing their story and talking about programs and how people could be involved. So kudos to everybody that attended the community showcase. I had to step out of the Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee meeting due to some noise in my Zoom background a little earlier last week, but I did attend a portion of that. Our P&P, Special Council, and regular meetings as well. The Citizens on Patrol has not met in the last month. And as I'm one of those councillors not returning, I will be endeavoring to make sure I have a good contact for our new chairperson so that they continue to be looked after into the future. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Ryan, you're next on my screen.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Boy, that's a hard act to follow with all those three in front of me. Of course, I attended some of the same meetings, the PNP, the regular meeting, special meeting, ICC, which they hadn't mentioned though, that we did get a very good presentation from people with the ambulance service. So hopefully we'll see some good things happen out of that. The Rotary Park, that was a lot of fun. I concur, Councillor Thompson and I cooked quite a few hot dogs together. So we were just rolling them out there, weren't we, Councillor Thompson? And the community showcase, I agree, it was a little bit light in numbers, but I did think that we had a good showing of groups, and I certainly would encourage any community service or anybody who's running programs in the community to join one of those showcase, because they're a good source of information. I had a library board meeting. We saw, of course, like Councilor Overwater said, COVID is having an effect on programs for adults and young adults and children. So we are able to hold a little bit of programs in person for the children, but any kind of adult programs might have to be done either outside, or I don't know what we're going to do. I think it's going to be very difficult going ahead. I think we're going to probably do as much as possible online as we did in the past. So we were very successful at doing that. And so hopefully that'll be the way to go for the next little while. We had been hoping to do a comedy night in November. We are looking at trying to still do that, and hopefully that will come to fruition, COVID depending, of course, on the restrictions. Had a Mountain View Seniors golf tournament and I got to play with your worship, and boy, we're great, eh? You know, like we just awesome. Anyway, we're not going to talk about our golf game or our final score, but it was a great event. Thank you to the municipality of Olds and all the other ones that belong to Mountain View Seniors Housing, as well as our sponsors and all those who support and participate in that. 21,000 plus was raised, boosting the amount of money raised by the Mountain View Seniors Housing Foundation to over $200,000. So that's a really great, feather in their cap. Mountain View Seniors Housing Board meeting. We have passed the operating budget for 2022. Thought we would get that in place before we had new members join. And I'm pleased to say that we'll see a reduced amount in requisition from all of the municipalities. We were able to come in with a good, healthy budget, and we should be able to reduce $50,000 this year for 2022 in requisition. And then also coming out of that same meeting, for the very first time, we have a reserve policy in place, and we have adopted reserves for capital, operating, and snow clearing and equipment replacements. So very good job of our board to be able to turn things around financially for Mountain View Seniors Housing, and to really be able to get, for the first time, reserves in place. So I think that's a great job. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too attended PNP regular council meetings and special council meetings. I also participated in the showcase and the Rotary Park grand opening. I did meet with the Olstoberfest committee members a few times, and also Mayor Rhonda Hunter from Didsbury. I did also attend the ICC meeting. On top of that, I had a Red Deer River Municipal Users Group meeting. We did meet with Alberta Environment. We had hopes to get to work with them as far as we have concerns with the Red Deer River watershed. And we were hoping to have some kind of clarification on our allotments and our water licensing, but we've not gotten too far with that situation yet. Our executive director, Keith Ryder, is retiring at the end of the year. I believe there is a gentleman that they're going to be giving an opportunity to take his position. I'm not sure if he's accepted that position. I won't say his name at this time. And I also met with the SRD or the South Red Deer River Wastewater Commission. Both my commissions or committees, their finances are on track and everything is on budget. We are now getting down with the Wastewater Commission where we're going back more to maintenance is becoming, I guess, for lack of better words, it's flowing better than it had been in the past. And the equalized storage ponds at both Bowden and Innisfail will be completed and they are on track and under budget. And that's a very good thing for both of us. Our flows at the Red Deer River or the Wastewater Commission are down significantly, but that's due to very dry summer that we've been having. And overall, though, they're very pleased with the maintenance that our municipality and every municipality along the line is doing. And that's worked very well for us. And I also had an FCSS meeting, and that will probably be my last one there too, until, well, all my committee meetings until we know what will happen after the election. But anyway, I want to thank everybody there for my committees that I've sat with, and I've had a really good time. I've learned an awful lot.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Blatz. Yes, I too have attended many of the aforementioned meetings and the Rotary Park and showcase. The number was down, but everybody alluded to the quality of the users that were out there, or community initiatives that were out there that were showing their wares and trying to recruit some enrollment. That was a great afternoon or evening, I guess. We also had an AUMA infrastructure and energy committee meeting that we hosted here in Olds. That was a very good success. We talked a lot about rail safety, as it was coming up on Rail Safety Month, and we also did a tour of ONET, which was very informative for that group. I gonna just go right beside Councillor Ryan and say my golf score was absolutely horrendous. So we're not going to talk an actual number, but the number that strikes me there is the $21,000+. The Mountain View Seniors Housing. Sadly, my score was probably pretty close to 21,000, but we won't mention that, of course.
Not at all. Not at all.
Anyway, it was probably closer to 21,000 than par. So anyway, also attended the mayors of South Central Alberta. We got back together for one last time before the election, but after a bit of a summer hiatus, shared a lot of information about how communities are dealing with the COVID fourth wave and things like that. So that was a productive meeting as well. And it was very, very sad to see that Culture Days and Oktoberfest had to be canceled, but I think it was probably a prudent thing to do. So anyway, that's my report. So unless there's any questions, comments, concerns, we have a motion on the table, and I will call for the vote. All in favor and opposed. And that motion is carried. All right, let's move right along to correspondence and information. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. And there's two pieces of correspondence, and both of these have come to you in similar forms in the past. One is in regards to the town of Sundre and the RCMP retroactive pay. And they're indicating that the federal and provincial government should take care of the shortfall in regards to it, not the municipalities. And secondly, Crossfield, the town of Crossfield, is basically indicating that they are opposed to Bill C-21 and changes to the criminal code and the Firearms Act as presented in Bill C-21.
Excellent. Thank you very much, CAO. May I have a motion, please? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move the correspondence and information report ending September 23rd, 2021 be received for information. I do have a comment, and I think regarding the town of Sundre, Mayor Leslie's letter to Premier Jason Kenney. I think we should send a letter as well. I think this is something that the federal government should have to pick up, not us, since it's taking them so long to make a decision on it. I believe, I think we should write a letter supporting this letter and send it off to Jason Kenney. I think we should also send it to the feds.
All right, thank you very much. That's a good idea. I concur with the sentiment. The other mitigating factor there was that the federal government didn't invite municipalities to the table to try and negotiate this. I think that was an error on their part. Negotiating a settlement is good, and we needed to do it. The RCMP deserve a pay raise. Absolutely. They do great work for our communities. But at the same time, if we don't have a seat at the table, it's pretty hard that we shoulder all the cost. So,
You want a motion for that?
Yes, please. Let's get a motion to begin with.
Okay, yes, I would like to direct administration to write a letter in support of Mayor Leslie's from Sundre regarding the retroactive pay for the Royal, for the RCMP. Is that good enough? Oh, Mary Jane's going to correct me on something.
Councillor Harper.
Well, what I would suggest, instead of just in support of the town of Sundre letter, that we write a letter to the governments, both provincial and federal governments, on our own behalf, not just supporting another community.
Okay, I can go with that.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne.
Friendly amendment. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns regarding that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor and opposed. That motion carries. All right. We already had a motion on the correspondence. Any comments, questions, concerns about the correspondence other than that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor and opposed. And that motion carries. All right, that brings us to our added items. We do have a closed session for FOIP. Who would like to make that motion?
Oh, sure.
Okay, Councillor Overwater, if you could, it's FOIP 21.
Yep. Yes, I move that we go to a closed session under FOIP 21, intergovernmental relations.
Excellent, thank you. Now, participants within our meeting have,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, participants have 2 ways of continuing with the meeting. You can click on leave the meeting button and leave this meeting, and then watch our Town of Olds website and our Facebook page for live updates when council will return. Administration will post the meeting time during reconvene time, and meeting attendants will be able to rejoin in the virtual meeting at that time. Your second option is to stay online in the virtual meeting, and administration will move you into the waiting room. And then when council has done their closed session, we will let you know on our Facebook and website, and you'll be brought back into the meeting platform at that point in time. Councillor Harper, or Overwater, sorry.
Yes, so I would like council, CAO Merritt, Mr. Merritt.
Executive team, Mr. Merritt.
I'd like for Directors Sunderman, Wagstaff, Barak, and Andrew to be present, as well as the legislative clerk.
Okay.
Marcy.
So that's added to your motion. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns about that motion? Seeing none, we'll call for the votes. All in favor and opposed. Motion is carried. All right. Let's have Mr. All right, thank you very much. I'll reconvene today's meeting. Thank you for being patient with us while we have our closed session. We do have a rise in report. Who would like to make a motion? Councillor Blatz.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that we direct the mayor and administration to write a strongly worded letter to the Honorable Minister Jason Coppy, CCing Premier Kenney, Minister McIver, Minister Nixon, MLA Nathan Cooper, Dr. Hinshaw, AUMA, and RMA, stating the Town of Olds displeasure with the implementation of the recent restriction exemption program that has been downloaded to our municipality.
Thank you very much, Councillor Blatz. Are there any comments, questions, concerns regarding that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That motion is carried. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I think that brings us to adjournment.
We actually have a motion to come out of camera. Did I vote on that?
Yep.
Yep, we sure did.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, no, Councillor Ryan made it at 3:44.
Okay, very good.
Passed. So, and you did vote. I watched.
Oh,
All right, so we have adjournment. Who would like adjournment? Councillor Overwater, seems how you didn't think we were out of camera yet. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
thanks, everyone.